Subtext Discourse. My name is Michael Dooney, Director of Jarvis Dooney Galerie, Berlin. Today I'm happy to introduce an interview I did with German photographer Torsten Schumann, who was recently exhibited together with David Schikora in a 2018 summer show. I've known Torsten for a few years now, though I can't exactly remember when we met. However, if you regularly visit the Berlin galleries which focus on photography, chances are you know Torsten as well. He's as much a passionate viewer and fan of photography as he is dedicated to his own craft and artistic output. Though I'd heard he was active as a photographer, it wasn't until our postcard salon at the beginning of this year when I was introduced to his work. Seeing his book More Cards, Clothes and Cabbages was when I really became intrigued by his aesthetic and approach. So without further ado, I present Torsten Schumann sharing insight into his photography and unique perspective of the world. I guess maybe let's just start from the beginning. Tell us a bit about your backstory and how you came to be where you are now with what you're doing.
I mean, it's always a bit funny if I would like to say something about childhood connected to photography, because I don't feel like I started in childhood. I think photography started for me much later. Mm-hmm. Like after I went to high school, I started studying as an engineer, but I could notice that all that technical thinking about very abstract technical things, I felt there needed to be a balance inside of me. And I looked for something which could give me a balance, and I thought, okay, arts might be good, visual arts might be a good thing to do, and I experienced or tried 3 or 4 different medias like lithography and sculpturing and silk screen printing.
Okay.
But finally I ended up with photography again. Like I did the second course in, it was a place in Dresden where it was easy to attend a course for less money. Mm-hmm. And I really got into photography. I'm wondering why, but I think because photography means for me to allow myself to be playful with things. Yeah. And also to give my curiosity a little sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to just look for some strange things in the city. Yeah. But if I have a reason for that, it was easier for me to have a reason to be curious, to look at things. And now I come back to the childhood, because after a long while I noticed, maybe it even started in the age of 4 or 5 years, that I'm interested in in pictures. Mm-hmm. I remember still that I sat on the floor of my grandma's flat, and she had some postcards, but I don't know what the English word, not knitting, if she stitches around.
Or sewing, maybe.
Sure, she sewed around the edges of the postcards, and she made an album, like one postcard with the back to the other postcard.
Stitched together,
She stitched it around the edges together to an album. Yeah. She had about 10 or 15 of them. I sat on the ground and flipped page by page, and I was so surprised to see some mountains with a lake and some snow in the background. Yeah. And I thought it doesn't exist. But okay, it's a postcard, so people told me this exists, but not here in East Germany. Yeah, okay. So I thought, okay, the world is large. It made me curious about it. Yeah. And maybe this was also a starting point to look at pictures, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess that was after then that you were experimenting with lithography or with sculpture?
No, this was as a little child. Oh,
right, as a child,
this
you
was
had that
very
fascination.
Little child, 5 years, I guess. So it was just a memory. It came back to me after a long time. In the meanwhile, I already sold all that albums on the flea market, and now I'm very angry about myself why I sold it.
But you had then... Let me try and think how old you would have been then in 1989. I guess you would have been a teenager then.
I was 14 when the wall came down, and also I think it had a large influence to my life in a way to see in the age of 14. Like, as a teenager, everything is uncertain anyway, to find the own way, to start rebellion against parents and against everything. Mm-hmm. It's very important for a youngster, I guess. Everything is quite unstable, everything changes, so rebellion was not as much inside of me, I think, because it was more like not annoying to the parents and to So I think I kept my rebellion, and I still like to have it a little bit inside of me.
Yeah.
Even now. And also it was important to see how fast things can change. So what is reality? What people tell us, is that truth? Or is that the truth? My English is not so good.
No, it's good. Come on, Torsten, it's nice.
But yes, so I think I've learned at least a little bit from that to ask questions about everything, to look at things, but not to take them as they are, as normal, but still to ask, why is it like that?
Yeah.
Even some normal things in brackets, like, I still think, is it normal?
Yeah.
Only because we are used to do it all the time and every day, but is it normal, or what is normal?
It's interesting, I think, how you explain it then, that you, like the reunification of the country and everything you knew to be a reality changed at the same time. And it changed during your teenage years, and that's kind of when we're testing our boundaries and finding out what's real, what isn't real.
Yeah.
And everything you knew up until that point, it's like, now none of it makes any sense. And I guess when you're saying about the postcards that you saw as a child, it's like, well, there's a photograph of this. It must exist somewhere, but there's no way for me to find out and see where it is. I read in one of the other interviews with you that you did an exchange program. You went to Australia at some stage. Like, was this like later or earlier?
It was directly, or it was during high school, and I was very happy to be able to go there. Like in the age of 14, or 15, I was not ready for that.
No.
So I was still...
Well, I guess still adjusting to Germany becoming one country.
In the age of 17, I had the strong feeling I need to go away from here. I really wanted to leave, to go somewhere else, to see something. But like my parents didn't have enough money, and I have 3 brothers, or 2 brothers and 1 sister, and so I tried to write some sponsoring letters to many companies, but no result. But my parents could see that I really wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So some friends of them helped.
Oh,
but
nice.
I could go away to, like for 10 months I went to Melbourne.
Oh, cool.
Which was one of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned some English, and I'm surprised because it's not so good still, but I'm not so good in languages. But I've learned it in Australia.
Oh,
because
really?
Before that
nice.
I couldn't speak a whole sentence.
Really? Wow.
In English, yeah. And it was 1993, 1994, a long time ago.
Wow. Have you been back since?
Sorry?
Have you been back to Melbourne since?
Just once, in 2009, for 1 month, and it was great.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Over Christmas, and it was also the wedding of my host sister, and...
Oh, so you're still in contact with the family?
Yes, I'm still in contact.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's my go. I always have a little bad feeling because I would like to write to them, but I should do it tomorrow. Maybe today.
Yeah. How did that experience then influence how you make your photos and how you're approaching visual art? Was that a big impact on how you see and look around?
Also, because it was another point, like in the age of 14, and then again, when I went to Australia, so world is large. There are so many realities, so many different styles of life, and I could notice, at least in the family and the friends I've made there, life was much different from the life in the...
I mean, that made such a contrast. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, because I'm a little bit younger, but still, I think I would have been like 10 or 11 when when the reunification and everything happened. So I was too young. I mean, already in Australia, so it's already like another world to me. But as a child, like, you're not understanding when people are on the television, like smashing down the Berlin Wall or anything. But you were like, that would have been a huge thing. But then to go to Australia, like really the opposite side of the world, like that would have been... I mean, especially as a teenager, like if you're there kind of in your 17 or 18 years old.
And it was also my first flight in my life. So I never flew, and the flight to Australia was actually my first flight.
Oh, really?
And I could see the little lights down, and I thought, oh, the little houses, now we are in the air. But after it, I noticed the plane didn't even take off.
Yeah.
So it was the little lights of the runway. Yeah.
But then, so you had 10 months in Australia. Nice. That's really cool.
Yes.
So when you came back, because you didn't immediately go into photography, so I guess you came back and then you did your Abitur, or you did
my Abitur, like the VCE, or what it's called, like the
I'm trying to think what the English word is now. Like, when you start working, I suppose, or when you do like an apprenticeship or something.
And I studied mechanical engineering for 1 year, then interrupted during that time we needed to go to the army, but if in case we didn't want to, and I didn't want to definitely, so I did some civilian service in a hospital. Yeah. In my case, I just transported blood, whatever. So some community service.
Oh, but you were working in a hospital, like transporting.
Yes.
I guess bags of blood.
Yeah.
And that was just for it's a year, isn't it, that you guys do it?
It's not like now in Germany. I don't think it exists like that anymore. But
really,
yeah, during that time it was just for 1 year. So I interrupted my studies, and then I came back to the study, and I went for the workshops with lithography and photography.
Oh, okay. And then that's kind of when you were reintroduced.
It was also the time I was much into black and white photography during that time. And I like to travel to Poland a lot because it was like going backwards in time again. Like when I went to Krakow, I loved the city during that time.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. Krakow's amazing. I guess so from that time, you studied your Abitur, you did mechanical engineering, you had I mean, it's not a gap year, is it? You're working, it's like civil service that you do instead of joining the army. But then after that, I guess you were working
I kept going, studying, and I finished my studies, And then I worked as in wood procuring. I went far away from Dresden. Dresden, like the area I lived in, it was like a student's place, very alternative place, and very nice. And then I went to the mountains next to Luxembourg. It's called Eifel, somewhere next to Cologne and
the Ruhrgebiet,
south of Ruhrgebiet. But it was very remote, and there I also noticed the hard life of working as a trainee. Like in this time, it was always dark outside because it was winter time.
Yeah.
No people around. I didn't have a car during that time. And we worked about 10 hours a day, at least, I guess.
Yeah.
And I felt there's something missing in my life. And I came back to photography during the weekend to also live a little bit of rebellion, because I could see all the very clean houses in some places.
Yeah.
And the tidiness, and somehow there was something I needed to take pictures of that.
Yeah.
And that was a starting point in photography again for me. Then I took color pictures.
I mean, I don't like talking about technical stuff, but if you were working with black and white, I guess you were shooting analog. But
I shoot analog. Also, I shoot color pictures analog during those days. But then in 2005, I think, when I started again, I took already digital pictures.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking actually what time frame it would have been. But so 2005, that was kind of when you were...
Yeah, especially 2007, there were the first shows in Trier, where I'm actually going on Tuesday again for a solo show. But there it was like the starting point to see, okay, it's also possible to show my pictures, to present it.
Yeah, did you think about that before then? Because I suppose as a child, when you're making things, you don't think, I'll have an exhibition or I'll make a book. You just enjoy the process.
Yeah. One time we did a quite large group, like a group exhibition in Dresden. So we hired an empty place and we organized everything, and there was almost every day some special program.
Yeah.
So many people came there because of the programs, not even because of the photos. But it was very nice to organize, and I could see how much work is it to organize something like that. But I also enjoyed to organize things.
Yeah, I mean, it's good bringing people together as well, creating experiences.
Also like a brunch when many people came and they all brought their own things. And so people get to know each other.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
And were you still based in Dresden at the time?
Yes, it was during my studies.
During your studies, okay.
Yeah.
And when did you shift then when did you come to Berlin, actually?
To Berlin, I came 2010.
Oh, okay.
Only, yes.
Oh, only. It's almost 8 years ago now.
Yeah. Time runs. And then I worked here in a roofing company.
So was that like an extension of your previous training?
No, it was different company, because the company closed at that place. Yeah, so I worked at 3 different companies.
Yeah, but it was the same industry. Like, was it mechanical
really.
engineering? Or?
Yeah, it was same like technical things, but completely different. The one was first wood materials, then I worked for a researcher in paper technologies, and then finally in plastic materials.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So it's also quite untypical. Also, I worked in health and safety.
Yeah.
Environmental things.
And then when did you think, okay, I want to do, like, because you do, your photography is almost, not full-time, but you do a lot of other, you're working within the field, I think, a lot now. Like, rather than...
I think only in the field of photography right now.
Yeah.
Like, from 2014 on, I only do personal projects and have some little jobs to survive somehow.
Yeah. Do you work as a photographer as well? Like, do you do commissions and things?
I'm little afraid of bending. I say bending, maybe it's not the right word in English, but to spoil my view in a different direction. Like, I don't like to take pictures as people expect me to do it. Like, I cannot do that. I mean, maybe I could, but I appreciate if people ask me to take a commission in my way. Then I say, okay, yes. If I'm free to do what I like to do, I can do that.
Yeah.
And so I was happy about Zeit magazine.
Yeah, no, that's a really nice pictures.
Which was nice because it was only the pictures I already made. Mm-hmm. That's differently. But to do some commission, maybe I should do it. I'm still thinking about it because it's not easy to earn some money beside of doing the photography.
Yeah, exactly. Because you mostly work then as I use the German word Kaschierung. It's mounting, so you mount images. Is it a picture framers or is
It's not framing, but mounting, like to connect the photographical print with aluminum debond or with cardboard, or museum cardboard.
Yeah.
So it's some very specialized thing to do, and I really appreciate to learn that and to work in that field. I
mean, I guess part of the motivation for doing that was through your own photography, because you're still very hands-on then, aren't you? Like, from all the other fields, it was always not, I mean, I guess it's a kind of manual work where you need to get in there with your hands and do stuff.
And I like that, I like to do some manual things. I also enjoyed to learn bookbinding with Nico Baumgarten. Like, he taught us in a workshop how to do that, and I really like to do something with my hands.
Yeah. Have you done I know you got the book that you did with Pepperoni Books, but have you done any self-publishing or made any of your own books?
Kind of, but it was more like a dummy. So it stood like a dummy with just a few copies of the dummy.
Oh, okay.
So I made them myself, but I didn't keep going with that because I would like to publish this work, like it's called Off-Keel. It's actually a side project in black and white and analog.
I've only seen a little bit of this, actually.
I should have bought it.
But yeah, so I read then that you're also making a book out of this project. Like, how did this one start? Because it's quite, I mean, I can see how it's connected to your other work, but okay, it's in black and white. So obviously aesthetically it's different to your color work, but it also, I think, maybe because of that, it feels a bit more raw.
Yeah, I think it's like the color pictures are still quite more in order. Like, everything has its place, and
they're much more precise,
constructed, or I wouldn't say constructed, but more.
Sag's mal Deutsch.
Not as I wouldn't say they are very chaotical, the color pictures, but the black and white one sometimes seems a little bit rough and chaotical, a bit more lively still. It's
not like in the other one. It's not in a bad way. The other ones. The other ones are very they're very considered, and like you've taken the time, and they're very thoughtful, and it's like, as a result, when people look at the images, you can also really appreciate the time that it's taken you to find that image or to find that moment, because other people haven't seen it, so you kind of highlighted it. But with the Off-Keel, you take them all at night as well, don't you? Like, most of it's night images? Or?
It's almost true night. Like, I change my cameras during daytime, still the color pictures, and during nighttime I take out the little analog camera.
Yeah.
Recently, I changed also to color pictures. I just want to try something new. I would like to. I started to take color pictures at nighttime.
Oh, for the Off-Keel or just a different project?
For a different project. Maybe I can combine it. I don't think too much in projects. It's more like I would like to take pictures and rather collect the pictures. And I don't think in advance why I take a picture. it's more intuitive.
Yeah, intuitively.
Yeah.
I think it's the same word in German, isn't it? Intuitive.
Yeah. And later on, I looked to the pictures and, I would like to. Now I've lost what I wanted to say, but for a while I took part in workshops with Wolfgang Surborn. He's one of my main photography tutor teacher.
Yeah, I guess.
And he's saying listen to the photographs, and that's what I'm also do. Maybe because of that I also looked for him as a teacher, or I found him as a good teacher for me. But it's still my approach to take the pictures and then to listen to the photographs.
Yeah.
And only the photographs which speak to me, where I can feel something special in it. Only these photos I will choose, and then I will combine it with other pictures.
Yeah. I guess you don't work with a tripod or anything. You have the camera, you're walking around, you're seeing things.
I don't like tripods for my work because I feel like it's a corset, like I have something which I don't feel free with a tripod, and I would like to feel free.
Yeah, but I think
pictures.
But looking at the images, they're just so well. Like everything is in its right place in every picture, and it's almost like you've choreographed the whole thing. But this should go here and that should go there.
But I think it's because I really look to the pictures, and sometimes they are very in a split seconds, or in a split. How do you say? Just in a very short moment, I took the picture.
Second. Yeah.
And so I didn't think about it, but afterwards I see, okay, that picture is somehow good. It works for myself. It speaks to me. So I don't like to construct the images. So I like to do it very fast. Usually I noticed the first picture is mostly the best one.
Yeah.
Sometimes I take the first one, and then sometimes I take a whole row of pictures. But very often the first one is the best one.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like instinctually you grab the right image at the start, and then as soon as you're consciously acting on it, then everything else gets in the way.
And also I like to take pictures of people. Yeah, sometimes people also ask me why I take the pictures, but also if I don't take pictures of people, if I just take a picture of a very strange dark corner, people even come into the corner and look, what are you doing there? Yeah. And so sometimes it's strange because I'm in my own, it's like in a flow, but in my inner world, somehow in my own cosmos, or I don't like to interact sometimes with the people as much because I'm just in my inner mood.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel a little disturbed if people start to talk to me and I don't want to get into a long conversation sometimes. Yeah. So recently I just tell them I'm an artist, I look for some nice colors, look here in that very dirty corner, look at that nice colors of the dirt, but people,
that
don't,
scares people away.
People don't understand usually. Sometimes they make even a fun out of it, but I also do, like sometimes I tell them, oh, there was just a squirrel.
Yeah.
They just look at me. Their eyes get a little bit wider, then they look around, look at me again, and mainly they walk off then.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this crazy
guy.
Or
they even ask, really?
Yeah, show me where.
In the middle of the city, but sometimes there is.
Yeah.
There are squirrels around.
Yeah, I've seen, you see foxes. I mean, I've seen them in Mitter as well. Like, you'll see a fox walking down the street. It's like, that's strange, but whatever.
Yes.
It does happen.
But people understand this one more. Like, if there's a squirrel, for sure, it's a reason to take a picture.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's one answer which is okay enough or it's fair enough to have an answer.
Then they're satisfied. It's like, okay, you can keep taking pictures.
Yeah.
How, I guess how long then I know you said you don't work in series, but then when you're active, walking around, taking images, how long does it take from that point to the picture being finished? I don't know, do you pin them up on the wall, or do you have do you keep them in a folder in your computer that, okay, these ones are ones I have to look back at, and how do they marinate?
In the way how I work, I'm still trying to experiment a lot. I like to experiment what's the best way for me, which is the best way how it works. But in past or for a long time, and I still do it, I take the pictures and then the pictures still stay on my camera, on the little card.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes for a long time, until the card is full.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it stays there for months.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I just let them in the camera, and once the card is full, I just download them.
Mm-hmm.
And some weeks later, maybe if I find the mood or the time, I just flip through them and I make the pre-selection. Then I print them, and then there's another pre-selection. So it's step by step, at least 4 or 5 selection steps in between.
Yeah.
Yes, but the thing is, like for me, it works to don't have the emotional connection or the memory to the moment as much anymore as I would do it in the same day or the day after.
Yeah.
So I need to have some time distance.
No, I think that's important. I mean, I know the same because we shoot less film now. You don't have the time between taking it and getting it developed, having a few days to forget what you took photos of, and then looking at it fresh. But I think that's a nice approach, having them on the memory card.
Yeah.
And then wait until the card's full and then look at the pictures. Because otherwise you get home and I'll download them and I'll look at them today.
At least it works for me, but everyone does it in a different way. And as I don't do commissions, as you just asked.
Yeah.
So there's not really some important, very urgent pictures on it I need to see in the same moment. Recently I went to Palermo for residency. It was much different.
How was that? Because you had 1 month, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1 month, and there was another system. It worked out to do it weekly, like 1 week of shooting, after 1 week to select, or 1 day of selection, and then to condense or to make it more dense, like to find the good pictures. But then there are some more selection steps after.
Yeah. So just maybe we can just take a step back. How did the Palermo come about? Because it was a residency. I think you were the first artist that they've hosted as part of the artist residency.
They just started the opportunity for the residency with an open call. And as I never succeeded in my applications for residency, I also thought, okay, I cannot just tell I would like to go there and I will see what's around. So I thought about a project, and I found a project about the Urplant, which is like the original plant, which is very strange word, but it was established by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I mean, I don't want to mention this one too much, but it was the thing, it popped up. Once I read something about Palermo, I thought, okay, that sounds very surreal. That guy, he thought, okay, does a plant exist somewhere which combines every detail which a plant possibly could have? Like every different Eigenschaft. I don't know the word.
Oh, every different property
or something, So many different flowers, many different roots and cells, everything.
Oh, okay.
So, and Goethe thought, okay, this plant might exist, a plant where every plant comes from, which is, okay. Now we have hundreds of years later, but he thought it might exist, then he came to the conclusion it doesn't exist, but once he went to Palermo, he was sure to find this plant in the botanical garden of Palermo.
Oh, really? Okay.
But just for some days, after some days, he thought, okay, no, it's just a model.
Yeah.
I also think photography is a model. It's two-dimensional and it doesn't show reality, but it makes you think about something.
Yeah.
Think about something more which isn't the frame. It's the same as the Urplan might make you think about many different options, many different things, but it's a model. And so I wrote some application for that, and I was very happy to go to Palermo to look for the Urplant, but I also told them, no, I don't take pictures of plants as much and of architecture. I just want to find the feeling of the Urplant, to combine many different, like Palermo, many different cultures are combined, and I also was surprised because it didn't feel like a contrast. So many different influences from history and cultures, but it all went along together. It was different, but it was just one thing. It was Palermo.
Yeah,
like in Berlin, there are some different cultures, but sometimes it feels like a contrast. And in Palermo, the contrasts came together and it was just one thing. But maybe because I don't have the distance, I was there just for 1 month. And in between of 1 month, I just have a little slightly idea about the city.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I know from different cities that you can, when you experience it and you go around the different streets, you can feel like, okay, I'm in this area now, or this is how something different, you can feel either the cultural influence or the architectural influence, or like historically why one area looks different to another. And certainly in Berlin, it does often feel like lots of little towns stuck together instead of one big city. But it's interesting that when you went to Palermo, that it kind of does represent this Urplant, like philosophically from what Goethe described, that it's this place that has a little piece of everything there, and it functions as a whole, like it's some kind of a gestalt, that it sort of all belongs together. I think a nice kind of stepping up off point for starting the project. How is then, compared to how you would normally work, how is the limit of time? How did that affect you? Like having, okay, you got 1 month to arrive, to discover, to complete a project.
So I was not used to work in this kind of project thinking. And I was a little bit afraid to go there and to have a sort of, I felt a little pressure because I expected something of myself, and my friends there, we became friends, so they also expected to, like that I will produce something for sure for the final exhibition and for the artist talks and as I used to take pictures in more organized, a little bit more tidy places. I was a bit afraid to go there, but once I was there, I felt very excited, and I think it's so important to have, for me, it's important to feel some resonance with the surroundings, with my inner emotions and things I see on the street. And there I was excited about everything. And once the excitement comes, the pictures come. It's always when my inner mood comes together with something I see. So, like the resonance. And I still thought, okay, how I take the pictures, but I didn't think too much. But afterwards I noticed, okay, I did it in the way that I just went closer to the objects, to the people. I noticed
even with what we showed here. Like,
like the picture in the back, with the dog and the
definitely.
foot, like they come, so it's very close.
But exactly. That you're going into more detail now. Like the other ones, you had like, there was a bit of a distance, whereas this time you're kind of focusing in on like the different things that you're attracted to.
And this also might be a good option to combine like the night photography, where I always use or go closer because of the flashlight and it's more directly. And so I try to combine the black and white approach to the color pictures as well. I like to combine it a little bit. I didn't realize. But it's more, so I went closer and it's not as organized, not as straight lines anymore. But they all come together like the little absurd things, or I'm wondering what happens there.
But I think even when we had like the different arrangement in the space, you can see that they're your photographs. Like they're still related, even though like you don't necessarily say they were taken in this place and they were taken at this time, because they're throughout Europe actually. Like you have lots in Germany, but then there's also ones in Prague and there's ones in Poland. These ones now in Italy. They all represent how you're seeing the world. And I think even how, like you've described, that your process was different when you were there, that you're kind of getting in closer as well. You can kind of see, you can either see the development, but you can also see like images from 2009, next images from 2018. And you can see that you took them, like you can't, it wasn't like, okay, this is two different projects, this is two different people. It's like, no, this is kind of how it's organically developed over time, which I think is really nice.
It's good to hear. Thanks.
I mean, you made a zine when you were there, so you did make a book, but knowing now how you said that with your normal photography, with your everyday approach to your photographs, that you'll leave them on the memory card, you'll look at them in a few weeks, in a few months, and go back to them. With the work that you made in Palermo, is that still fermenting? Is it still kind of in your system, thinking, okay, this is going to come out later on, I'll look at it again?
I don't know. So I didn't think about it. So I think it's more like if I'm ready to look at the pictures, I have a look there. And if I feel like now I feel like I would like to choose some pictures. I don't know. It depends even on the period of life or what's going on around. And like right now I just wait and let them on the memory stick again.
Yeah.
But I also thought about how to present the work, and in future I also would like to combine it with like some video work. Like actually in Palermo I started a video.
Oh, really?
And now in Trier I will combine the video with some installation.
Oh, when you're going on Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay, I didn't know. I knew you were doing like, it was a solo exhibition. You were doing the way you present them always. Like you have you have different sizes, different locations throughout the space, so that people can, I guess people can experience your work the way that you make it, so that you discover things in different places.
At least that's what I want to try. Yes.
Yeah, but I think it's important because we're so used to seeing images presented in the kind of in a very classical, traditional way that if you have to look up to see a photograph or crouch down to see a picture in a space, it's like, well, is there a rule that says you can't do it that way? It's interesting you said that the Palermo, was that the first residency that you've done?
Yes, it was the first residency Palermo.
And then it was 2 or 3 months later, you did another.
There was from International School of Photography in Kuldiga in Latvia, which is a great opportunity to meet many photographers and great teachers, and it's a fantastic community.
Was it similar to Palermo that you were making work there, or it was more of a workshop?
It was differently. It was also not a workshop. It was a residency program parallel to the workshops which were held there. It was in the same time frame, but it was like a residency group, 12 people doing this residency. So this was different as well, and it was a much shorter period of 8 days, 10 days, I don't even know, because it was very intense as well. And it was more like the themes we came up to sort out for ourselves and to ask the tutors. In that case, it was, again, Nico Baumgarten, then Federico Claverino, and Nicola Polli from Yet Magazine, all great teachers, great guys. So I was very happy to be there to ask them for their opinion, and they helped me a lot in the way also to think about presentation of my work. And I think I came up myself first with a book to show the Pepperoni book, More Cars, Clothes and Cabbages, to show it, and I taught to them, yes, I would do it differently now, because I think the playfulness is not in there as much as it might be in the pictures. And that was a starting point to think about presentation, different presentations which might be more interactive or a little bit playful. And so I tried this to put up a puzzle, but once people put together all the little puzzle pieces, they stay in unsatisfaction, or how do you say, they are not really satisfied.
They'll be unsatisfied.
Because the picture itself, it's like a deconstruction of reality already. So the puzzle parts themselves are much more interesting maybe than the whole picture. This is one, and a memory game came up, and an installation which is quite an experiment still. So
you're still working it out, or?
Yeah, I would like to, but I still think about it. And I think it's a good idea to play with the fear of being childish. Some people might fear to be too childish, and I put something up like you need to get up a ladder, take some marbles and put it into a pipe, which was like quite organical, and then it made lots of sound, bumping, falling down the pipe. It made really lots of sound. And the marbles came out in the middle of a picture. There's also a pipe in the picture, and they came out and dropped into a pink ball, which is on the picture already. But so I doubled the system, and it's more like doing something which is not really, which actually doesn't make sense in our traditional way of thinking.
Or even to go
but
to
for children, like to do some fun, it makes sense. We do so many things which are just for having some fun. So why not being as silly to not expect to win something or to be competitive, like to puzzle is already competitive, to reach an aim, or the memory game is a little bit more competitive, like who's the winner, who solves it. But just taking some marbles, little 4-year-old kids can do that, and putting it somewhere in and enjoying when it comes out somewhere. And so I try to do this. And I might keep going with that work as well, but parallel to my traditional, like to the way I present my pictures.
Yeah.
But I also like to go more into sculpture, building something, because that was one of my main interest in childhood as well.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, like, because at the start of the interview, you were talking more about, I guess sculpture was a part of it. I don't know if the lithography will come back into it, but even I think the hands-on aspect as well, it seems is really important. Yeah. So it's not just you take the picture and then give it to somebody else to take care of. Like, you're part of every single stage. Like, you mount the pictures yourself, you frame them, you carry them around. Like, you've, I guess, loaded up your trailer with all your prints ready to go to Trier now. I think I really appreciate as well, just from also having to design a space for every new exhibition, that is a massive, or it's a huge consideration for you as well. And that's really integral, or that's a really significant part of how you present the work, is how people experience the work. And you need to, or you're somehow managing to bring people into your like way of seeing and thinking about the photographs by causing them to maybe play in the space and kind of step out of their comfort zone. When you did the one with the marbles, how did people react? Especially like adults. I mean, I can imagine children be like, this is great. Listen to the sound that it's making. This is amazing. But how did the adults respond?
I think I could hear the sound quite often. Like, I put it up in Kulja in the group show of the final exhibition of the ISSP period. Yeah. And I could hear the sound quite often. But I looked for the other work because it was a very short time, and I think I should keep going with those playful things. Or I would like to.
I think it's also nice as well, because too often, especially kind of in the fine art context, that we get so hung up on everything being serious. And if it's not serious, then it's, people don't see the same reason, they don't see the same worth. And it's like, but no, this is, we can still appreciate things, and we can still, like, what's wrong with also enjoying something?
I think humor might be a good possibility to open someone's interest, like to just get into the interest. But then if it's just humor, I think something would be missing, but there need to be some different layer to it. Yeah. And so I like to combine more things. It's not just funny. I hope so. I don't know, but I think I like artworks where I can see some humor, but it's just like cooking. It's just some special ingredients, but it's not the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's a nice analogy. Yeah, if you just had a bag of salt, then we can do that.
Might be interesting though.
Is that a good note to finish on? The bag of salt's funny.
Let's stay with a bag of salt. Yeah. There's a good fairy tale about it, which I saw as a child. Like, because a daughter of a king, she said to his father, the king, "Oh, I love you as all salt of the world." And because it was very insulting for the dad, because his sisters all said as much gold and as much precious diamonds and stones. And she just mentioned salt, and so she was banned. Oh, really? And then they had food without salt, and then everyone thought, okay, she might have been white, and then they looked for her.
Oh, that's nice.
Just some story I couldn't forget as a child.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Torsten as much as I did speaking with him. I really appreciate his compassionate approach to image making and how he discovers the unusual, quirky and serendipitous moments in life that many of us overlook or fail to notice. If you've not already, I'd recommend picking up a copy of his book, More Cards, Clothes and Cabbages, whilst you still have the chance. There are only a few copies left, and he isn't planning on publishing a second edition, preferring instead to focus on how he can incorporate the playfulness of his exhibition presentation and translate that experience into book form. The link to the publisher, Pepperoni Books, is linked below, and you can order directly from them. The exhibition with Torsten and David was documented in 3D by Artland, so for those who missed out or weren't able to travel to Berlin, you can still experience the exhibition online in virtual reality. The images from the show are also on our website, and more images from Torsten are on his official homepage. Thanks again for listening to the second installment of Subtext Discourse with myself, Michael Dooney. Until the next episode, you're welcome to follow me on Twitter at @MichaelDooney_ and the other social media links below.